Alright, so quick update. I just want to show how isName is now updated. So basically we've changed to the ESM module syntax because I'm using it in a trigger.dev function and I wanted to be able to use import. I don't understand the const require whatever thing. Um, so what we're doing for this workflow, I'll just show you. Basically, we're pulling out a list of email addresses, and then for each email, we have a default name that comes with that email. So maybe I can show you with my data set here. So if I remove this filtering, we'll see we have a bunch of companies here, and then we have an email list. And if we click on these, we'll see some of them will have a name field, but that name is not always a valid name. Apparently, the company that gets me this data doesn't have a way to check. So we can say the name is E. Antol, which I don't know if that's really helpful because I'm not going to address them as E and I'm not going to address them as Antol. And so I'm going to have to filter this name out. And then we can see we have Betty and Gary here. So that's pretty good. Um, but actually, if we go back to this, we can see that this name could be Baron if that's a name. And then, where were we just looking at that? Here, Eantol, so that's probably not a name. B, so that's good. G is their first initial. But yeah, some of these, the name is going to be the first, it's going to be like Adam at companyname.com. Sorry if this is a little bit dull to watch here, but I just want you to understand how I'm using this. So, anyways, if I come back to the leads, what we can do is we can filter where the name is not null. Surprisingly enough, you just type it in like that. And what we can see is where the first name is just the name of the email address, we can just pull that right out. And so, Abel, this is their name. Abe, that's their name. And then for these ones where the whole thing isn't a name, we're not using that. So I'll just come back to the script that we're running. Basically what we're doing is we're pulling out the first part of the email, and then we're pulling out the first part of the email. Say, if I can find an example here, we'll have like Adriano.hs. We just want to pull out the Adriano because if that's their name, it's probably the first part. So then we're checking, is that a first name? Okay, so is valid name. And the way we do that is we're running this function. So we're saying the name has to be at least a length of 3 because under 3 is kind of some weird names. We're checking if it is in the list of isName, and then we're checking if the word also exists using that external package that I link in the README. So this is another function I was trying to do where I'm checking basically against like a full kind of name list here. So if we look at like Augustine, no, like, it'll be something like if you remove this period here, it would be like Alex Lingenfelter. We would just try to pull out the Alex, but the problem is you would get names like Alex Lynn or whatever. Not that that's a name, but you would get weird things where it pulls out like a name that isn't real. So I just am not doing that for now. It means from my list about 20% have names, and if we can't find a name through all that, then we're just validating that name that the scraper gave us. So that guy that was E, whatever, is not gonna have an email or not gonna have a name because that's not a name, obviously. E is not a name; it's just an initial. Um, so yeah, that's kind of how I'm using it. And then if we come back to this package here, we changed it to be a JSON package, and so names.json, and you can see it's grouped by the length of the name. So this just makes it a little bit faster when we're running because we can just pull out that group of names, which is a tenth or whatever of the total names, instead of doing a linear search like it did before. And then we have the ESM modules set up properly, and yeah, I mean, that's basically the whole update. I just want to show you, if you do combine this package with word exists, then you do want to, so you go into package.json, you want to change the type to be modules, and then I think the main should be this, And then if you go to word exists, then um, we're changing this to be import, and then we're doing export default here. So you can change a couple of lines in this package just to make it use the ESM module syntax. And then, yeah, you'll be able to pull out a shit ton of names. Like, if we didn't have this, I think it was around like 10% of something of the names actually had, where was it? Yeah, actually had names, but now we're up to about 20% of our contacts with names. So, yeah, thanks for watching, and enjoy the package.